Put up the defendant, Stephen Gerald Hodges. Stephen Gerald Hodges. In this indictment, you are charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm, contrary to Section 47 of the Offences Against the Person Act of 1861. The particulars being that on the 15th of December 1983, you assaulted Jacqueline Coombes, occasioning her actual bodily harm. How say you, Stephen Hodges? Are you guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
I swear by Almighty God, the evidence I give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The case you're about to see is fictional, but the procedure is legally accurate. The characters are played by actors, but the jury is selected from members of the public.
Are you Mrs. Jacqueline Coombes?
I am.
You live at 34 Hutton Crescent, Fulchester?
I do, yes.
Do you know the defendant, Stephen Hodges?
Yes.
How long have you known him?
We first met over a year ago.
Well, since you were first introduced, how often have you met the defendant?
Not often. Occasionally I would call at his house to see my husband Andrew or to pick up Susan. That's really the only times we met.
Susan being?
My daughter. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Then Andrew Coombes was living at the defendant's home at 16 Carlton Street, Fulchester.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us briefly how your husband came to be living there?
Andrew and I are separated. We've been living apart for about 18 months.
But you still continue to see your husband?
Yes.
Maybe take it then that you continue to be on reasonably good terms?
We managed to agree over most things, the financial side and so on. We arranged everything between us without using solicitors or anything.
And the defendant, Mrs. Coombes, what was your attitude towards him?
I accepted him, of course.
As your husband's friend?
If that's what Andrew wanted.
Now, was there ever an occasion when you behaved other than amicably towards Stephen Hodges?
None that I can think of. We were always polite to each other, though we didn't have much in common. Apart from Andrew, that is.
Which brings us to the night of December the 15th. Now, will you tell us, in your own words, why you went to the defendant's house that night?
I'll try. It was Susan's birthday that day. Unfortunately, Andrew had to go out of town, but we'd arranged for him to come around to the house when he got back to give Susan her present and wish her happy returns. Then Susan announced she was going out that evening. Well, I didn't want to let her. I knew Andrew would be disappointed if she wasn't there, but she begged and pleaded and promised she'd be back in time, so I gave in. She said she was going round to a school friend's, a girl. I knew the family quite well. Anyway, off Susan went.
What time was this?
Just before 6, I think. Yes, that's right. I sat about for a bit and watched television. Then it occurred to me that if Andrew was arriving back about 9, I could easily pick him up and collect Susan from her school friends en route. It would save her making her own way home. So I decided to phone Susan and let her know. This was around 8-ish, I think. I rang and spoke to Mrs. Hartley, the school friend's mother. It appeared Susan wasn't there, nor was she expected.
Now, how did that news affect you?
Well, it worried me a bit, I'll admit. I mean, she had told me quite definitely where she was going. Of course, she might have changed her mind and gone out somewhere with the school friend.
Well, did you have any idea where she might be?
Well, it did occur to me, not straight away, but eventually, that she might have gone to her father's. In fact, I tried to telephone there, but the line was engaged and I couldn't get through.
You say eventually? Not an obvious assumption, then, that your daughter might have visited the defendant?
Well, of course, I thought she'd tell me if she planned to go there. I know it sounds silly, but by now I was imagining all sorts of things. At last, I decided to get in the car and drive around town. I thought I might see Susan somewhere. Well, I did that, for a bit. And then I found myself quite close to where Andrew lives now, at Carlton Street. It seemed sense to stop and ask if she'd been there. If not, I could wait for Andrew. It was already 9 o'clock by then, and I thought Andrew would know what to do.
So you got to the defendant's house at 9. Did you speak to him?
Yes, he answered the door.
How did he seem to you?
He was very jolly, in very good spirits. He asked me inside and showed me through into the sitting room. There was a party going on, people and music playing.
Did you ask the defendant about your daughter?
I did. I had to shout to make myself heard, though.
And what was his reply?
He just laughed. He said something about a birthday surprise and then grinned. He disappeared before I could say anything else.
Well, what did you understand him to mean?
I didn't understand him at all at the time. I thought he meant he had a present for Susan. Of course, later I realized the surprise was for me.
And what did you do then?
Sat about for a bit. I didn't know any of the people there. Someone offered me a glass of wine, but I refused because I had a headache. I wasn't really in the mood for a party. At last, I decided to go to the bathroom simply to get away from the noise. My headache was much worse.
Where was the bathroom?
On the first landing of the stairs leading up from the hall.
Mm-hmm.
I was only in there a few minutes, and when I came out, I was just about to go back down when I heard Susan's voice coming from a door beside me. She sounded very upset, as if she'd been crying.
Did that surprise you?
Well, of course it surprised me. I didn't even know she was there. I hardly knew what to think. I called her name a few times, and I tried the door handle, but it was locked. I banged on the door, but nobody answered. I didn't hear any sound at all, but I was sure that somebody was there. Well, I was just about to go back down to fetch someone to break the door down if necessary, when, thank God, she opened it. I could see straight away that something was wrong. Susan's eyes were all puffy and red. Her clothes were in a mess. Her blouse was hanging out of her skirt, half unbuttoned.
Was your daughter alone?
No, I'm afraid to say she wasn't. The Barnes boy was there, lurking behind her in the background.
Who do you mean?
Oh, Martin Barnes. Someone that Susan knew slightly. I think he'd taken her out a couple of times. It wasn't hard to imagine why she was crying.
Tell us what you did, Mrs. Coombes.
I sat Susan down and I tried to calm her. I asked her what had happened, but she was too upset to tell me, not that I couldn't work it out for myself.
Well, did you say anything to your daughter?
Yes, I offered to take her home. It seemed the best idea.
And was she willing for you to do that?
Of course. I mean, she wanted to leave.
Then why didn't you leave at this point?
Because Stephen Hodges, came in then, that's why.
Now, how did the defendant react to seeing you?
He was smiling. He seemed to find the whole thing very amusing.
Did he speak to you?
Oh, yes, he kept making these little remarks. Didn't I think Susan was old enough to manage her own love life? I mean, how insensitive can you be?
Did you make any reply to these remarks?
I waited until Susan was ready, and then I told him that I was leaving with Susan and that I'd make sure that Andrew knew all about what had happened. That annoyed him. He began to get really nasty. He said that whatever went on in his house was his business and that I had no right to interfere. I didn't bother to answer that. I simply walked past him to the door. He let me pass, but when Susan tried to follow, he planted himself between us. He said that I could go, but that I had no right to force Susan to go with me.
But your daughter was ready to accompany you.
Of course. It was a ridiculous situation. I couldn't take the whole thing seriously. But then I tried to move past him, and he blocked my way.
Did he make any physical contact?
No, not yet. It was like two people in the street. Well, you know, dodging from side to side. Then I made the mistake of trying to squeeze past him. Well, that was it. He grabbed hold of me, he went very red in the face, and he started shouting.
Yes, now what did he say, exactly?
Oh, he said to be well, get out of his house, or words to that effect. I don't want to repeat them here. I told him not to be stupid and to let go of me, which he did. But he gave me a push at the same time. There was a small table beside the door, and I staggered against it. There were some things on it. I don't remember exactly what, but they fell to the ground. When he saw that, he lost interest in me, and he knelt down on the floor and started to pick them up, cursing to himself all the while
Where
he
was
was doing
Where was your daughter during all this?
She was watching. But when he grabbed me, though, she ran out. I tried to follow her. I did follow her as soon as I could. The bathroom door was locked, and I could hear Susan sobbing behind it. She wouldn't open the door. I don't blame her, really. I was a bit frightened myself.
Why was that?
Because of the violent way he'd reacted. It was a shock to me. Well, I suppose I didn't know him that well.
And what did you do next, Mrs. Coombes?
At this point, I heard Andrew's voice downstairs in the hall. He must have just arrived at that moment. I ran down the stairs, and I followed him into the sitting room. He was talking to some people in there. I did try and explain to him what had happened, but he didn't seem to be able to take it in. Eventually, I managed to persuade him to go out the hall where it was quieter.
Did you tell your husband how the defendant had acted?
No, I didn't have the chance to, because again, Stephen Hodges appeared on the scene. He was in an absolute fury. He said to Andrew, I want this bloody bitch out of my house. I want her out now. If you won't throw her out, I will. Of course, Andrew didn't know what was happening, and I couldn't get a word in edgeways.
You didn't leave when asked?
No, I thought I had a right to speak to my husband. I mean, it was his house in a sense too, wasn't it? He lived there.
Did your husband intervene?
No, I blamed him for that at the time, but... I mean, it all happened so quickly, I don't suppose he could have done anything. Poor Andrew's not much good in a crisis anyway.
Now, please continue. What did the defendant do then?
He seized me by the arm and dragged me towards the door.
Did you resist?
I tried, but he's very strong. He opened the door and thrust me through it. I was determined to speak to Andrew, though, and I held on to the edge of the door. I was shouting to Andrew over his shoulder, trying to tell him to make sure Susan was all right. He, Hodges, tried to pull my hand away from the door, and when that didn't succeed, he pushed me.
Yes. Now, how did he push you? Exactly.
He reached out an arm like this, and he shoved me with the flat of his hand on my shoulder, on my chest, just below the shoulder.
And what was the effect of this push?
It knocked me off balance completely. I staggered back a few steps, and then I found myself falling.
Did you fall on your front or on your back?
Oh, on my front. I must have twisted as I fell. That's how I hurt my ankle, and I reached out a hand to try and save myself. Stupid thing to do, I know, but it's instinctive, isn't it? Anyway, I landed on the pavement about a foot from the first step. That gives you some idea of how hard he pushed me.
Now, was the door open when you fell?
Yes. I heard it slam shut afterwards.
How high were these steps from the street?
Oh, not more than a few feet at the most. There were 3 of them. I had plenty of time to count them. They were broad and shallow, but not high at all.
And how long were you lying at the foot of these steps?
I don't know. It seemed a long time. I tried to get up, but the pain from my wrist and ankle stopped me. At first, I didn't worry because I thought someone would come out in a minute. They didn't. I called out a few times, but the door stayed closed. Then somebody appeared at the window.
Who was that?
Stephen Hodges. I saw him quite clearly, and I'm sure he saw me. He smiled. He even nodded slightly. Then he drew the curtains. And I began to realize that no one was coming to help me. It was very cold, I remember. I'd left my coat in the house. Snow was falling. I remember thinking to myself quite calmly that I'd probably freeze to death unless someone came out and found me. That wasn't very likely because it was late, and Carlton Street's a cul-de-sac anyway. Eventually, I thought, I've got to do something. I began to crawl along the pavement, but after a few yards, I stopped. The pain was too bad.
And did anyone come to your aid?
Yes, in the end, a neighbour, Mr. Wardle. He was marvellous. He wrapped me up in blankets, he called the ambulance, and stayed with me till it arrived. I don't know what I'd have done without him.
Mrs. Coombes, is there no doubt at all in your mind that the defendant deliberately pushed you?
None.
And seeing you from the window afterwards and being fully aware of the results of his actions, he chose not to come to your assistance?
That's correct.
Thank you, Mrs. Coombes. That's all.
Mrs. Coombes, you said earlier you were on good terms with the defendant until this incident occurred. Is that correct?
Reasonably, yes.
And you think why he should behave so unreasonably then on this occasion when you'd done nothing to provoke him?
Well, as I've already said, I didn't know him that well. Perhaps he's always had a violent temper.
You've known the defendant for a year. Who introduced you to him?
My husband, Andrew.
What relationship does your husband have with the defendant?
My husband and the defendant are lovers. Their relationship is homosexual, if you want me to spell it out.
How long had you been aware of the fact?
If you mean, did it break up our marriage, then no, it didn't. I don't think Andrew knew he was gay himself, not for a long time. I can't say it came as a great shock to me, and that's not why we separated.
To the best of your knowledge, was your daughter also aware of this?
Naturally, she's not blind, but it didn't worry her either. She accepted it just as I did.
Then you had no objection to your daughter's association with your husband's new partner?
Why should I? You're not hinting I'm prejudiced, really?
Not at all. I merely wish to clarify your attitudes, Mrs. Coombes.
Well, I think they're quite clear.
During the week prior to the 15th, did you see or speak to the defendant?
No.
No. Then on the afternoon of December the 12th, you didn't visit the defendant at his place of business, the Red Lion Antique Shop in Fulchester High Street?
No, I didn't.
Have you ever been there?
Yes, once or twice, but not on that day.
So you didn't speak to the defendant or make any kind of threats to him?
You're joking. What threats?
I suggest you said you'd better leave my daughter alone. I never want you to see her again.
That's absurd. Completely untrue.
You didn't threaten him with legal action for, as you put it, corrupting your daughter and turning her against you?
What rubbish. Legal action. I couldn't have done anything if I'd wanted to.
Did you wish to take some kind of action?
I've already said I wasn't there, and I never made any such remarks.
Do you consider yourself to have a good relationship with your daughter, Mrs. Coombes?
Yes, I'd say so. Of course, we row occasionally. That's normal, isn't it? Teenage daughters are always a bit of a handful.
Did your daughter spend a lot of time in the company of the defendant?
He took her out sometimes.
With your consent?
I never objected. Well, not without good reason, if Susan had exams to revise for or something. I will admit I didn't always like some of the people he took her to visit.
Why was that?
Well, they sounded a bit bizarre. The sort of people who try to shock you the whole time. So boring, I think.
Then you never prevented your daughter from seeing the defendant?
No.
What about Martin Barnes, your daughter's friend? Did you forbid her to see him?
Good heavens, no. I might have expressed an opinion, that's all. Frankly, I thought Susan could do much better.
On the night of December the 15th, you say you went to the defendant's house in order to ask if he'd seen your daughter.
That's correct.
Why didn't you make a greater effort to carry out that intention? From your account, you only asked him once and didn't receive a firm answer from him then.
Well, of course, I thought naturally he would tell me if he knew where she was. I didn't suspect then he was trying to conceal her whereabouts.
Did you, in fact, ask him at all anything about your daughter?
Of course I did. I told you so.
I suggest, Mrs. Coombes, you did not. And for a very good reason. You were already quite sure your daughter was in the house.
Not sure, no. I thought she might be. I've already admitted that. Look, I really don't know why you're making such an issue of it.
Yes, Miss Parkinson, perhaps you will tell us why you wish to make this particular point.
Your Honour, I believe it will become apparent as we proceed, with your Honour's permission. Mrs. Coombes, you say you discovered your daughter with Barnes in the bedroom. You had no idea your daughter was in the house until that moment?
No. Look, surely this is irrelevant. The fact is I did. It's what happened, what he did to me afterwards, that matters.
If in fact he did anything at all, you knew, or at least suspected, where your daughter had gone, and you went there to provoke a confrontation.
Well, in that case, why didn't I just have it out with him straight away?
Perhaps the presence of so many people prevented you. You needed to be certain. But I suggest that at the first opportunity, you went to search for your daughter and to confirm your suspicions.
Look, I don't know what sort of a person you think I am. But I can tell you I would not have caused all this unpleasantness without good reason. I bear no resentment towards Stephen Hodges except for the hurt he caused me and the upset to Susan. That's all, whether you believe it or not.
I suggest, Mrs. Coombes, the defendant did not hurt you.
That's why I ended up in hospital, I suppose.
I put it to you that the injuries you sustained were the result of an accident, not an assault. You left the house, and when you were alone, you suffered some kind of accidental form. Possibly your foot slipped on the
That's
steps.
simply not true.
You deny the suggestion?
Yes, I do, absolutely.
Dr. Sutcliffe, you treated Mrs. Coombes when she was admitted to the casualty department of Fulchester General Hospital on the night of December the 15th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, would you care to tell us the extent of Mrs. Coombes' injuries?
The patient was admitted by ambulance at 10:45. As junior registrar on duty, I examined her shortly afterwards. The patient was conscious, but appeared to be in some pain. X-rays revealed a fracture of her radius slightly above the wrist joint. The ankle of the left leg was swollen, but this was discovered to be badly bruised, not fractured.
And how did Mrs. Coombes behave while you were examining her?
She was quiet, said very little. She seemed a bit dazed.
Would you consider that abnormal in the circumstances?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you, Doctor. That's all.
Dr. Sutcliffe, on the night of December the 15th, can you remember the state of the weather?
Yes, it was freezing. I remember it clearly.
Indeed. Now, Doctor, from what you've described to us of Mrs. Coombes' injuries, would you say there was anything about them that was inconsistent with a fall, caused, for example, by slipping accidentally?
Nothing suggested to me that her injuries could not have been the result of a fall. As to what caused it, I couldn't say.
Were there any wounds or injuries that might only have been caused by an assault?
She hadn't been shot or stabbed, if that's what you mean.
Quite. I only wish to
I
establish
think you
the fact.
have made your point, Miss Potts.
Thank you, Your Honour. Thank you, Dr. Sutcliffe. No more questions.
Is your name Ronald Arthur Wardle, and do you live at 15 Carlton Street, Fulchester?
Correct.
Will you tell us where your house is situated in relation to the defendants?
Directly opposite.
What distance would you say, approximately?
14 yards, including the pavements. You did want them included.
Yes, thank you. Now, on the night of December the 15th, did anything unusual happen?
Yes.
Perhaps you'll tell us what it was.
I heard a lady's voice calling. That lady.
Mrs. Coombes. At what time was this?
2200 hours, exactly.
And where were you when you heard this sound?
In my vivarium, first floor, front of house.
I beg your pardon?
In my vivarium, I said.
I see. What were you doing?
Working. Cleaning out the specimens' cages. Usually do that at night.
May one ask what kind of specimens they were, Mr. Ward?
Reptiles, Your Honour. Mostly snakes, a few lizards. They don't do too well in this climate.
And you keep these creatures professionally?
Oh, no, Your Honour, just a hobby. Of course, I'm retired now, you know. Perhaps Your Honour is interested in herpetology.
Yes, Mr. Wardle, I am, but we must continue. Please carry on, Mr. Redmond.
Mr. Wardle, you say you're able to hear Mrs. Coombes clearly, even at that distance.
Yes. Well, it had all stopped by then.
What had?
The racket. Music, they call it. Some fair old times they had over there. I wouldn't like to say what goings on. And all hours of the night, too. Some people have no consideration. Reptiles are very sensitive to noise. The smallest vibration disturbs them. That's fact.
And what did you do when you heard Mrs. Coombes?
Well, I went over to the window and looked out, of course.
And were you able to see her?
Well, I wouldn't be here otherwise, would I?
True.
Nor would she, most likely. It was coming down by then. 2 inches of snow, they said the next day.
Mr. Wardle, did you notice anything else, for instance, about the defendant's house?
Well, I remember he had his curtains open. You could see straight into the front room.
You're sure?
They were open, and then he came across and closed them.
Who did?
Mr. Hodges, of course.
You're quite certain it was Mr. Hodges?
Never needed glasses, me. Anyways, it was pitch black, wasn't it? Only spotted the lady by the light from the windows.
And having seen her, what did you do next?
I waited for a bit to see if anyone came out of the house. A few minutes later, she was still lying there, so I went across to see if I could help. I asked her what had happened and was she all right. She was in a right state, poor thing, badly shook up. Then I went back inside and called the ambulance. I fetched some blankets and some stuff to keep her warm, and I stayed with her until the ambulance got there. 25 minutes we waited. She could have froze to death.
The case of the Queen and Hodges will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. The case you're about to see is fictional, but the procedure is legally accurate. The characters are played by actors, but the jury is selected from members of the public. Yesterday, the jury heard evidence in which Jacqueline Coombes alleged that the defendant, Stephen Hodges, her husband's lover, assaulted her by pushing her down the front steps of his house. Today, the defense is cross-examining a neighbor, Ronald Wardle.
Mr. Wardle, if someone were in a brightly lit room, as Mr. Hodges was in this case, even if he stood in front of a window, it's unlikely he could see more than a few feet outside.
But the light from the window was shining straight on her. I could see her as plain as day.
But you said yourself it was snowing heavily. Visibility must have been poor. If Mr. Hodges didn't know Mrs. Coombes was out there and was anyway engaged in drawing the curtains, is it not possible he might have failed to observe her?
Well, he might have missed seeing her. But he must have heard her. I did across the road.
I suggest, Mr. Wardle, your companions were probably making far less noise than Mr. Hodges. I believe snakes aren't known to be noisy animals.
They're not animals for a start. They're reptiles. But you might be right, I suppose.
Thank you, Mr. Wardle. One final question. May we ask why you never summoned help from the defendant's house? It would seem logical seeing you were on their doorstep.
Well, I'd called the ambulance. What could they do that I wasn't doing already? Except get in the way, that is. First rule, isn't it? Don't move them if they're hurt. Keep them warm. Wait for the experts. Besides...
Yes, go on.
Well, now that you've explained, I can see it makes sense. But at the time, I thought it was funny, them leaving her out there like that. Well, I didn't know, but you can't be too careful, can you?
Well, for whatever reason, Mr. Wardle, you didn't inform the defendant, did you? So we could assume that if he weren't already aware of Mrs. Coombes' injuries, he would have remained ignorant of them until the ambulance arrived. Isn't that true?
Well, he couldn't have missed that anyhow.
Thank you, Mr. Wardle. No more questions.
Miss Coombes, will you tell us why you went to the defendant's house on the day in question?
Well, I just popped in, really, on my way to see Tanya. I never meant to stay for very long.
Who is Tanya?
Oh, she's my best friend. Well, sort of.
Is this the school friend that you told your mother you intended to see that night?
Yes.
And what reason did you have for just, popping in, as you put it, to visit Hodges?
We see, I wanted to pick up a jersey. I'd borrowed it from Tanya, and she wanted it back again. I'd left it there the last time I was visiting.
So you stopped off to collect your friend's jersey. And what made you stay on?
Stephen did. He asked me.
The defendant asked you to remain?
Yes. You see, when I got there, he was getting ready for some sort of party, and he said, well, because it was my birthday, well, why didn't I stay? And it could be a sort of birthday party for me, instead of a present.
And did you agree?
Yes, well, I thought it'd be rude not to. But I did say that, first of all, I'd have to phone Tanya and my mother, because obviously I didn't want her to worry.
And did you make those telephone calls?
Well, I tried. Honestly, I did. I did speak to Tanya, but she never told her parents. She was going out, so that's why they never knew.
What about your mother?
Well, I tried, but it was engaged every time.
But you stayed anyhow?
Yes. I wish I hadn't, though, because, after that, Martin turned up.
Do you mean Martin Barnes?
Yes. Stephen invited him to stay to the party as well. I think Stephen fancied him.
How well did you know Martin Barnes?
Oh, well, we'd been out together a few times. That's all. It was all over between us by then.
Did you enjoy yourself at the party?
Not really. I might have if Martin had just left me alone. It reached such a point when he was irritating me just so much, I went to the loo. I didn't think he'd follow me, but I was wrong. When I came out, there was Martin. He said, why didn't we go into the bedroom to talk things over? Well, I suppose I ought to have known better, but I'd been so mean and I felt sorry, so I said yes. Anyway, as soon as I got in there, he went and locked the door. Well, I said, grow up. But it was no good. He started, to maul me about. Well, that was, thank goodness, when we heard Mummy knocking on the door. Martin went as white as a sheet. He's always been frightened of her. I said, give me the key, and he handed it over without a murmur.
What was your mother's reaction to finding you alone with Barnes?
Well, she's pretty angry, of course. I had quite a job trying to calm her down. I just managed to cool things a bit when in walked Stephen and made things twice as worse.
Now, how did the defendant behave, exactly?
Oh, he seemed to find it all terribly funny. He kept making these stupid jokes like, oh dear, Martin, you have bitten off more than you can chew, haven't you? Something like that, anyway.
He seemed concerned about you?
No, he was grinning all over his face.
And what effect did that have on your mother?
Which has made her even angrier. Gave Stephen a piece of her mind.
Did you go near him or touch him?
No, she didn't need to. Believe me, Mummy can be quite sharp when she wants to. Well, I could see there was going to be trouble, so I said I thought it'd be better if she'd take me home. I thought it'd, be better for everyone, really. And then I went to the bathroom to tidy up.
I beg your pardon, Miss Coombes. So you went to the bathroom.
Yes.
Now, what was happening between the defendant and your mother at this point?
Well, they were arguing. Stephen was shouting at Mummy. I remember that surprised me because he's normally so calm. Never loses his temper.
Did anyone or anything prevent you from leaving the room? Please, take your time.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes, he did. Stephen.
In what manner?
Well, he wouldn't let me get past him. He, standing in the door.
Well, how did you eventually manage to leave?
It was awful. They were shouting at one another. And then Stephen, he grabbed hold of Mummy and, well, I don't know what happened after the gap because that was when I ran out of the room.
You actually saw the defendant seize hold of your mother. Is that true?
Yes.
Thank you. How long did you remain in the bathroom?
Not long, about 10 minutes.
When you came out again?
I heard voices downstairs, my mother and my father having a row. Oh, and Stephen.
Did you go downstairs?
No, I went into the bedroom. I'd left my handbag in there. And when I came out, I waited on the landing. I didn't really want to get mixed up in it.
Could you hear what was being said?
Yes. Stephen was saying that he was going to sue Mummy. He sounded absolutely furious. It was about, some things of his she'd supposedly broken. I mean, it's so silly, isn't it? Because it'd be my father who had to pay. I mean, he supports Mummy, doesn't he?
Did you come down the stairs at all?
Well, eventually, yes. And I saw...
Yes. Go on, please.
I saw Stephen standing in the doorway. He was holding it half open. He was talking to Mummy. I could hear her voice. And then, well, all of a sudden it just stopped. Her voice, I mean. And then Stephen closed the door.
Did you see any physical contact take place this time?
Well, no, I couldn't because Stephen was standing in the way. But I did see him kind of reach through the door with his arm. And that's when it happened. I mean, the horrible way. Her voice just stopped. I wanted to go after her, but no, Stephen and Daddy said I better not. I've kept saying, are you sure she's all right? But I never realised she'd been hurt, honestly, and neither did Daddy, but Stephen did, he knew.
Miss Coombes, you can't be certain of that as a fact.
Well, why else would he have said what he did? He said, serves her right. No, he said that when he shut the door. I heard him.
Miss Coombes, whatever the defendant might have said, it's not for you to speculate on his reasons for saying it. Simply report what you heard to us truthfully. That is why you're here. Is that clear, Miss Coombes?
Yes, sorry.
Carry on, please, Mr. Radcliffe.
Miss Coombes, when the ambulance arrived, did the defendant show any sign of surprise or concern?
Well, he had to, didn't he? Bet he was glad, though. He never liked Mummy.
You liked Mr. Hodges, didn't you?
Oh, I used to. He was always so nice, taking me out and buying me things. But that was only to prove to Daddy that we got on, wasn't it? I mean, he was only using me. I can see that now.
What about your mother, Miss Coombes? Would you say that your relationship with your mother was a good one?
Well, I mean, we fight sometimes, but that's just normal, isn't it? I mean, everybody fights with their parents.
On the whole, though, you get on reasonably well.
Yes, I love my mother. And I am really sorry about what's happened to her. And if there was anything I could do to put it right, I would.
Thank you, Miss Coombes.
Miss Coombes, you said you only called in at the defendant's house in order to collect a jersey belonging to your friend.
Yes.
After which, presumably, you intended returning to your friend's house, as you'd informed your mother.
That's right.
Maybe ask how you made this journey?
By bus. I've got a season ticket.
By bus. And yet Carlton Street, where the defendant lives, is on the opposite side of Fulchester from you. Which means, if I'm correct, you'd have to take 2 buses. One to the centre of Fulchester and another one to take you out the other side. A journey of about an hour. It seems a lot of trouble to go to.
But I promised Tanya I'd bring it to her.
But you didn't, did you? And if you had, it would have meant retracing your steps, since your friend lives on the same side of Fulchester as yourself. Isn't that true? Please tell us why you did visit the defendant's house that night, Miss Coombes.
I've already told you.
But that's not what you told Mr. Hodges, is it?
I don't know what you mean.
Didn't you in fact say to Mr. Hodges that you'd just had a violent argument with your mother and you wanted to get away from her for a while?
I don't remember exactly.
You asked him to allow you to stay, and he consented against his better judgment. Isn't that the truth?
No, it's not the truth. I just popped in, that's all, on my way to see Tanya.
Perhaps that's what you led your mother to believe. I suggest if you told her where you really intended going, she'd never have allowed you to leave the house.
No, actually, she didn't. I mean, she wouldn't have minded.
Miss Coombes, you said that when you came out of the bathroom, you remained for a while on the landing.
Yes.
Because, as you put it, you didn't want to get mixed up in it. By it, maybe suppose you meant the altercation between the defendant and your mother?
Yes.
You were reluctant to show yourself?
Yes.
The jury might find that quite credible. After all, weren't you, in a sense, the chief cause of the conflict between them?
Never meant to cause any trouble.
Were you not afraid to come down?
A little, yes.
And not without reason. I suggest, Miss Coombes, that the person who frightened you wasn't the defendant, but your mother. She was extremely angry with you, wasn't she?
Well, what for? I mean, I hadn't done anything.
Nothing. Except deceive her. As you deceived the defendant, I suggest you lied to both of them.
No, it's not true.
I suggest, Miss Coombes, that if anyone is to blame for what has happened, it is you yourself. Mr. Hodges only became involved because he, perhaps mistakenly, interceded between you and your mother. He defended you and took your part in the face of her legitimate anger. Isn't that the truth?
Oh, it's not my fault. He hurt, and now you can't blame me for that.
Very well, Miss Coombes, let us return to what you say you saw took place in the hallway. When you eventually came down the stairs, you saw the defendant in the doorway and heard your mother's voice.
Yes.
What was your mother saying?
I couldn't hear properly.
Did she sound calm, excited, angry?
No, not angry. Sort of, normal. But it was Stephen. He was shouting, and that's why I couldn't hear.
I see. And after that, you allegedly witnessed Mr. Hodges make some kind of motion.
Yes.
What was it? Would you demonstrate for us?
Well, it was sort of like that.
That's all?
Yes.
You didn't see the defendant push your mother or make any sort of bodily contact?
No. Look, it was just the way her voice suddenly stopped. I mean, why else would it have done that?
Miss Coombes, you're aware how serious this charge is?
Yes.
And I'll put it to you once more. Is everything you have told us the truth?
Yes, it is.
I have no more questions.
That concludes the evidence for the prosecution, Your Honour.
I call the defendant, Stephen Gerald Hodges. Are you Stephen Gerald Hodges, and do you live at 16 Carlton Street, Fulchester?
I am, and I do.
What is your occupation, Mr. Hodges?
A shopkeeper.
At the Red Lion Antique Shop, Fulchester High Street.
That's right.
You're a dealer in antiques, then?
If you prefer it that way, yes. It's how I earn a living.
Were you in your shop on the afternoon of December the 12th?
I was, most definitely.
Perhaps you tell us what happened that day.
Well, I made a small fortune out of 2 German tourists, and I had a visit from Jacqueline Coombes.
At what time did Mrs. Coombes arrive?
Yeah, about 4:30, as I remember, yes. I was just cashing up my ill-gotten gains.
Was it a business or social call?
Oh, hardly business. Not very social either. You might call it a sort of personal delivery. An ultimatum, I think, might be the appropriate word.
What did Mrs. Coombes say to you?
Quite a lot. I confess I stopped listening after a while, but well, the gist of it was I might have a husband, but she'd be damned if she'd throw in her daughter as well.
Had she ever made plain her feelings before?
Yeah, perfectly. But she'd never been to the shop before. No, that was new. Her usual method was sending me chilly little notes like, did I really think it was necessary for Susan to go to the new art exhibition when she had O-levels? Next year, O-levels, I guess.
Did you pay any attention to her wishes?
Oh, of course. Yes, I mean, we discussed it eventually, the 3 of us, and decided it might be for the best if Susan didn't call round quite so often.
The 3 of you?
Oh, yes, the 3 of us, Susan included. Yes, she was the problem, actually. It took quite a bit of convincing to persuade her that it might be all for the best, at least until her mother was a little more rational.
So her outburst wasn't entirely unexpected?
No.
How did you react?
Well, I tried not to, but I then assured her that I'd no intention of stealing her daughter. I was fond of Susan, I told her, but I had no wish to cause trouble between her and Andrew.
Did you see Mrs. Coombes again before the 15th?
No, nor did I see Susan.
At what time did Susan Coombes arrive on that day?
About 7 o'clock, as I recall.
Had she told you she was coming?
No, and I can't say I was all that delighted to see her either. I was getting ready for some do that evening, a few friends I'd invited.
Did she give a reason for coming?
Yes, she said she'd had another row with her mother, said she needed to get out of the house.
Did you believe her?
Well, quite frankly, I was far too preoccupied to give it a lot of thought. I told her she could stay for a while, and then she really must go home. Oh, she did ask if she could use my telephone, and I said yes, and left her to her own devices.
Was there anyone else in the house?
No one. Not until the Barnes boy arrived, about half an hour later. Yes, Martin can smell a free drink from miles away.
How did Susan Coombes react to seeing him?
Well, I believe she was glad to see him. Anyway, they went off for some sort of confabulation, and I went back to my preparations.
So they remained together in the house for how long?
Oh, they were still there when my guests started arriving. I should have thrown them out then, but Susan pleaded with me to let her stay on. Well, I agreed on the condition that she telephone her mother. I suppose I thought Andrew could take her home later.
And do you know if she obeyed you?
Well, she went into the hall, certainly, where the telephone was. I heard her speaking to somebody. She came back into the room. She said it was all right. I took that to mean that her mother hadn't objected.
She gave you to understand that she had consulted her mother.
That is correct. Quite cunning, our Susan, when she goes to me.
And when did Mrs. Coombes arrive herself?
About an hour later. Martin had gone off with Susan somewhere. I must admit I was glad to see them go. They'd been particularly tiresome.
In what way?
Oh, some lovers' tiff. They'd kept up a furious argument in whispers. Susan stormed out of the room. Martin followed. Anyway, some time later, Jacqueline rang on the doorbell.
Did Mrs. Coombes give a reason for her visit?
Well, she said she'd come to meet Andrew. Now, I did think that peculiar at the time, because Andrew had told me that he was going over to her house to meet her later when he arrived back. Anyway, I showed her through, I introduced her to some of my friends, offered her a drink, and let her get on with it.
Did she ask about her daughter or mention her?
No. I naturally assumed she knew she was there.
What was her behaviour? Did she appear calm or agitated at all?
Calm, face like a wet weekend. Sat herself in a corner looking about as cheerful as Anna Karenina. Yet one of my friends asked, has somebody died? Only my party, I replied. Anyway, when I turned round later, she'd disappeared, and I thought no more about her until the cacophony started upstairs.
Did you go and investigate?
Well, I couldn't very well ignore it. I reached the first floor landing. The door of my spare bedroom was open, and a full-scale melodrama was in progress. And Susan was crying on the bed in a state of déshabillement, Jacqueline towering over, a lot of good old-fashioned epithets were flying about. And Martin, if I remember, was cowering in the background somewhere.
What was Mrs. Coombes saying?
A lot of name-throwing, bitch, filthy slut. I think she was enjoying herself playing the outraged mamma. Vocabulary went with the role, I think.
Did you speak to her?
I do recall saying, Jacqueline, what is all the fuss? Something fairly innocuous, anyhow, but it was enough to provoke her, it seemed, yes. I got treated to a lot of dreary allusions as to my sexual preferences, warped nature and so forth.
Did that make you angry?
I won't say I was charmed. I waited for her to draw breath, and then I asked her if she wouldn't mind leaving.
Those were the words you used?
Your huff has arrived. Would you mind leaving in it? Not very original, perhaps, but I must confess my patience was wearing a little bit thin by then.
And did she offer to leave?
Well, after loosing off some more invective, yes. She said she was going and taking Susan with her. Now, she seized the girl by the arm and began dragging her towards the door.
Did Susan go willingly?
Not willingly at all. It was perfectly obvious to me that she intended to drag her kicking and screaming down the stairs. Well, I was determined that was one little scene she wouldn't play in my house.
What did you do?
Simply stood in her way. Now, when she realized I wouldn't budge, she became quite hysterical, yet there's no other word for it. She let go of Susan, She made a rush at me with her hands towards my face. Well, I grabbed her wrists, I remember, held her at arm's length, and she tried to kick my shins. That's when Susan made good her escape, and the demolition of my property occurred.
Please tell us how exactly, Mr. Hodges.
Well, I let Jacqueline go after Susan had left. And there was a small table next to her with several fairly valuable articles on it. A clock, 18th century. 2 porcelain figures, quite irreplaceable. Anyway, Jacqueline picked one of these up and evidently intended to shy it at me, but the look of alarm on my face must have stopped her. So she smiled, and then quite deliberately and callously dropped it. Before I'd time to move, she'd overturned the table. Both the porcelain figures were smashed, the clock damaged irreparably, so I bent down to pick up the fragments, and Jacqueline swept out of the room.
Were you angered by this destruction?
Saddened, more than anything else, by the loss of 3 beautiful objects. Anyway, to finish this sorry little tale, when I came out onto the landing a few moments later, Jacqueline and Andrew were downstairs in the hallway. My evening was not over yet, it seemed. She was berating him loudly, demanding that he hand over Susan to her. I must admit that by this time I wished I'd never set eyes on Andrew's family. I was heartily sick of the whole sticky little mess.
Did you attempt to intervene?
No, I'd had enough. I marched straight past them to the front door and opened it. I told Jacqueline, quietly but firmly, that if she didn't leave my house within 15 seconds, I would telephone the police. Surprisingly, it seemed to quieten her down. She left Andrew and came to the front door quite meekly. When she reached the front step, she turned round to deliver a parting sally. She was determined that I would never see Susan again, and Andrew would be hearing from her solicitor, or so she informed us. I waited until she seemed to have finished. I bade her good night, and I shut the door in her face.
Mrs. Coombes was standing on the doorstep.
That is correct.
Were you able to close the door without any obstruction? Did she attempt to prevent you from closing it?
No. I simply shut it, without any particular force.
Mr. Hodges, did you at any time attempt to push or shove Mrs. Coombes or make any physical contact with her, with your hands or the door itself?
No. I held the door wide open for her. I wished for her to go. Remember, I had no wish to make it difficult for her.
To your knowledge, was Susan Coombes present when what you described took place?
If she was, I never saw her. No, she came down the stairs a few moments later and asked if her mother had gone. When we told her she had, she seemed relieved.
And when was the first time you were aware of what had happened to Mrs. Coombes?
When we heard the ambulance draw up outside.
The case of the Queen and Hodges will be concluded tomorrow in the Crown Court.
Mr. Hodges, you said earlier in your evidence that Mrs. Coombes had me to see you at your place of business, the Red Lion Antique Shop, Fulchester High Street.
That's right.
You told us that she made various allegations or threats regarding your association with her daughter, Susan Coombes.
I did, yes.
Was anyone else present when this meeting took place?
No, not a soul. I was closed.
But you'd been open for business earlier, you said.
I'd made a sale, yes.
I would like the defendant to be shown this copy of the Fulchester Gazette. You placed the advertisement that I've marked.
I did, yes.
Advertisement for your shop, isn't it? The Red Lion Antique Shop. And printed clearly there, the times when you're open for business. Would you care to read them aloud to us, please?
Well, I don't need the publicity, but I will. My hours are from 10 until 5:30, Tuesdays to Saturdays.
Why are you not open on Mondays?
Oh, that's the day I reserve for going to auctions to pick up more stock, if I'm lucky.
December the 12th was a Monday, yet you were open.
An exception. Greed got the better of me, you could say. You see, my German customers had purchased some very expensive items. They needed to go to their bank to withdraw the balance. They were returning to Munich on Tuesday. Naturally, I made a special arrangement to meet them on Monday.
I see. And did you inform Mrs. Coombes of this arrangement you'd made?
Good God, no.
I see. So it asks us to believe, Mr. Hodges, that by some special divination, Mrs. Coombes knew that you were due to be open for business that day, unlike the readers of the Fulchester Gazette.
Oh, perhaps she saw me from the street as she was passing outside through the window.
Perhaps your German customers witnessed Mrs. Coombes' arrival.
Oh, no. They'd gone by then.
I see. So we only have your word that such a meeting ever took place.
It looks like it.
Yeah. On the evening of the 15th, Susan Coombes came to your house at about 7 o'clock. Is that right?
That's right.
And shortly afterwards, Martin Barnes arrived. Now, you said that he'd been there before in order to meet with Miss Coombes.
I did, yes.
How often, may we ask?
I never kept count. I suppose about half a dozen times. They used my house as a rendezvous before they went out, to do whatever young people do nowadays.
And you consented to this arrangement?
But I didn't mind.
Do you know if Mrs. Coombes was aware of these meetings?
I couldn't possibly say. Probably not.
You didn't feel it necessary to inform her?
No.
Did you arrange their meetings at your house?
No. And if I'd forbidden Martin to come to my house, they'd only have met somewhere else. That was Jacqueline's problem, not mine.
It did not occur to you that Mrs. Coombes might not be by these carryings-on behind her back?
Oh, a great deal of what Susan did or wanted seemed to make Jacqueline unhappy. Any sign the girl was asserting herself.
Mr. Hodges, the girl was under the age of 16. Did you not realise that your collusion in this affair might have had serious consequences?
I find this change of casting rather confusing. A few moments ago, I was just a vicious old queen. Now, apparently, I'm a pander as well.
Your Honour, this is not material, surely.
No, I don't believe that it is. Mr. Radcliffe, you will please withdraw your last question. Members of the jury, you will disregard both the question and the defendant's answer.
I apologise, Your Honour.
Very well. Mr. Hodges, you're facing a serious charge. Try to reply with a little less levity. Do you understand?
Perfectly. I apologise, Your Honour.
Proceed then, Mr. Radcliffe.
Mr. Hodges, when Jacqueline Coombes arrived at your home, you showed her through into the sitting room where the rest of the guests at your party were assembled. Now tell us, was she acquainted with any of these people?
Oh, I shouldn't think so. No, they were my friends.
So a natural shyness on her part could not be considered abnormal, could it?
I'd never describe Jacqueline as shy.
Nevertheless, her reticence was not so remarkable when you consider the state of anxiety about her daughter. There was nothing irrational about her behaviour, wouldn't you agree?
Perhaps not at that point.
Nor later, I would suggest. Her reaction. The shock of discovering her daughter undressed and distressed in a stranger's bedroom.
If it was such a shock.
Not suggesting Mrs. Coombes knew what she'd find.
I'm suggesting that Jacqueline was primed and fused long before she went up to the bedroom. Her outburst demonstrated that amply to me. It was just unfortunate Susan gave her an excuse for it.
What about yourself, Mr. Hodges? Do you not really know how upset Mrs. Coombes might be?
Well, there was no good logical reason for her to behave that way. No, I can't say I expected it.
Do you deny making the remark about a birthday surprise?
I never said anything about a birthday surprise. I may have let slip something about a birthday party.
So you admit you gave Susan Coombes a birthday party?
No.
Well, it was Susan Coombes' birthday, wasn't it?
Amongst others, it also happened to be mine, or rather it had been a week or so before. I'd just invited some friends around to mark the occasion, to bid the years goodbye graciously.
Why didn't you mention this before?
Nobody asked. Besides, at my age, you don't advertise.
And can you explain your behaviour when you found Mrs. Coombes at her Barnes? I mean, from your own account and theirs, it seemed to amuse you more than anything.
Well, I'm afraid I always react that way when people start behaving over-emotionally. I have a highly developed sense of the ludicrous. I didn't realise it was an offence.
Perhaps not, but it appears to have given offence.
I'm sorry if it did. I thought one of us should try to stay calm.
You appear to have stayed admirably calm, even after the destruction of your property. Objects you appear to have valued greatly.
Throwing a tantrum wouldn't have restored them.
Now, you came down the stairs, you said, to find Mrs. Coombes arguing with her husband. Without intervening or interfering, you moved straight past them and opened the front door. Is that truly what happened?
Yes.
You didn't speak to Mrs. Coombes or reprimand her for her willful destruction?
As I said, scolding her wouldn't have helped.
And she obeyed you without protest. Hardly seems compatible with your picture of a violent and hysterical woman, does it?
Perhaps she was saving it up for her doorstep diatribe. I really don't know.
And you listened to this alleged diatribe for how long?
Oh, for several minutes. It seemed longer.
On a cold winter night with the front door wide open.
Courtesy is a hard habit to break. I was brought up to open doors for females. I waited until she'd finished, I closed the door, and I bade her good night. She was still vertical when I did that, and showed no signs of becoming otherwise. That's all I can say.
Jury might consider that your courtesy didn't extend to offering Mrs. Coombes her coat before you evicted her. Mr. Hodges, do you deny using the phrase, serves her right, after you closed the door?
Yes, I may have said, thank God for that. Something similar. I can't recall exactly.
Nevertheless, you were grateful that the problem had been removed.
If you wish to put it that way, yes. Do you know, I treated Jacqueline and Susan as individuals in their own right and responded to them as such. It so happened that I got on well with Susan. I tried to get on with Jacqueline. But I never saw myself as a surrogate father or mother, if you prefer it, simply as a friend. Now, it was Susan's wish that her private life be kept private. I respected that wish. Now, if that caused her mother to resent me, I very much regret it. I'd no wish to cause any trouble between Andrew and his wife. Why should I? What possible satisfaction could it give me?
May we take it, then, that you categorically deny causing any harm to Mrs. Coombes?
I do.
You neither assaulted her nor pushed her down the front steps of your house?
No.
Not even in a moment of anger, a temporary loss of self-control?
No such moment occurred.
Very well. That's all, Mr. Hodges.
Are you Martin Kingsley Barnes?
That's right.
And you live at 15 Albury Road, Islington, London?
Yeah. It's only temporary, though.
On December the 15th last year, you were living in Fulchester at 22 Homewood Gardens. Is that correct?
That's right.
On the evening of the 15th, did you leave that address at any time?
Yeah. I went out. About 7.
Where did you go?
Round to Cotton Street. Hodges' place.
What time did you arrive there?
About 7:30.
What was the purpose of your visit?
I went there to pick up some stuff I'd left there. Some clothes and things. I used to live there.
Was the defendant in when you called?
Yeah, he was there. With Susie.
Do you mean Susan Coombes?
That's right.
You knew Miss Coombes?
Yeah, used to. We went out together for a while.
Were you still going out with her at the time?
No. It was all over between us by then. It had been a bit heavy, you know, when I told her we ought to pack it in. She didn't take it too well.
You told her you wanted to end the relationship?
Yeah. See, I knew I had to split from here soon. I was going mad in this place, you know. I had to get out, get away. Well, I'm not into long-distance lovers. It seemed better to make a clean break. I mean, I told her she could come with me if she wanted to, but that would upset Mummy, wouldn't it?
Did she accept the fact you were leaving?
I thought she had, yeah.
How did she react when she saw you?
Seemed okay at first. I thought everything was going to be cool. Well, otherwise I'd have gone straight away. But then, well, you know what women are like. You think you got it all straightened out, and before you can turn around, they've started again, being heavy. I mean, what's the point? Well, anyway, I went upstairs. Susie followed me.
Miss Coombes followed you?
That's what I said.
Go on, please.
Well, I went in the bathroom, and she hung around outside. Well, she was crying, in a right state. When I came out, I tried telling her everything was okay. Well, I just wanted her to calm down a bit, you know, before we went back to the party. I mean, that's why I took her in my room. Well, it used to be my room. I just wanted to give her a chance to sort herself out. I mean, that's all. And my stuff was in there. I thought I'd pick it up and make myself scarce. Seemed like a good idea.
What happened then?
Listen, I can guess what she told you happened.
Please, Mr. Barnes, tell us in your own words.
OK, then. When we got in there, I started talking to her, you know, explaining things to her so she understood. Well, that was fine. I managed to get the waterworks turned down a bit. Well, I thought everything was great. I thought we finally got it all settled. Next thing, she walks to the door, locks it, right? Puts the key in her pocket. She turns round and she's smiling at me. I said, come on, girl, it's a bit late for this, isn't it?
What did you mean by that?
Well, it was obvious what her game was, wasn't it? If emotional blackmail didn't work. Anyway, when she started undoing her blouse, I thought things had gone far enough. I made it clear I wasn't buying any.
And what was her reaction?
Turned on the tears again, what you'd expect. I mean, I knew how to get out there fast, but I couldn't make her give me the key. Anyway, it was too late by then, because Mummy was breaking the door down. I mean, great. Beautiful timing.
Did Susan Coombes open the door for her mother?
In the end, yeah. But she was scared, though, you could see. She was shaking.
How did Mrs. Coombes behave?
Laid into her straight off, no messing about. Felt really sorry for Suze.
Did you speak to either of them?
Yeah, I had a go at explaining. All I got was an earful. Then Hodges comes in and she turns both barrels on him.
Did you see any physical contact take place between the defendant and Mrs. Coombes?
Hodges was trying to talk sense to her, but she was one hung-up lady, you know. I mean, in the end, he told her to cool off or get out. Well, that was fine, except she wanted Susie to go with her. She grabs hold of Susie and starts pulling her. Susie's pulling back the other way and screaming the place down. Hodges tells her to leave Susie alone, and she goes for him. Well, that was it, really. Well, Susie runs out. There was a bit of a fight, nothing serious. A few things got broken, but nobody was hurt.
How exactly did these things get broken?
Well, there was some stuff on the table. A clock, I think, and, well, some stuff. It got knocked over when they were fighting.
Who knocked them over?
Well, she did, Susie's mum.
Was her action deliberate?
Hard to say. Oh, I don't know. Well, like I said, there was a bit of a struggle. I mean, I kept well out of the way. I mean, like it was Battle of the Dinosaurs time, you know? Oh, sorry, it's not funny, of course, but, I mean, you had to be there to see it. I mean, all it needed was Susie tied to a stake with one of those leopard skin bikinis on. I mean, it has all got blown up a bit, you have to admit.
Possibly it has, Mr. Barnes. Unfortunately, the charge facing Mr. Hodges is far from amusing. To him, at least.
Yeah, well, I only meant... Sorry.
So as soon as Mrs. Coombes had gone, you left the bedroom and went downstairs. Where did you go next?
Well, into the sitting room. Well, I needed a drink by then. But there was no getting away from her. When I walked in, there she was, at it. A slanging match, with her husband this time. You could see people crawling into the corners to hide. Well, luckily, he took her outside, so we had a bit of peace for a change. Yeah, I wanted to go, you know. I'd had enough. But, well, I couldn't get past the happy couple. So I walked to the doorway and waited there, hoping for a chance to nip out.
You were watching from the sitting room doorway?
Yeah. And I saw what happened.
Perhaps you tell us what you saw.
Well, after she'd been going on at him for a bit, the husband, I mean, you could see the poor sod didn't know what had hit him. Hodges comes down the stairs. They both stopped and looked at him. He stopped at the bottom of the stairs and looked back. He was rigid, you know, really trembling with anger. It even made her shut up. Without saying a word, he walked past them both and opened the door. He told her to get out, and she did. He didn't have to shout. She knew he meant business.
Did he touch her in any way?
I told you, he didn't have to. She was scared stiff. I was scared myself.
Did Mrs. Coombes say anything?
Well, after she got outside, she started up again. Beecher slammed the door in her face. After that, I went back into the sitting room. I didn't want them seeing me.
Did you witness the defendant actually make physical contact with Mrs. Coombes at all?
He never touched her. That's the truth.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. That's all.
Mr. Barnes, is it true to say that Mrs. Coombes disliked you?
We didn't exactly hit it off, no.
Would it also be true to say that she was less than pleased to find you alone with her daughter?
I guess.
You see, what might puzzle the court, Mr. Barnes, is why, with a lady so ill-disposed towards you, should choose to stand in a lighted doorway and listen in on a private conversation. I mean, it's not the kind of exposure that a person in your position would welcome. Not if you were wise, I suggest.
Well, I didn't think about it like that at the time. Well, anyway, she didn't see me, did she?
Nevertheless, you insist that you were there, you did see the events take place in the manner you've just described.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I suggest that you are mistaken. Thank you, Mr. Barnes.
You're Andrew Edward Coombes?
I am.
And you live at 16 Carlton Street, Fulchester, also the home of the defendant?
Yes, I do.
What is your profession, Mr. Coombes?
I'm an architect. I have my own business.
Where were you on the 15th of December last year?
In Birmingham. I went there to meet with some clients.
What time did you arrive back at Fulchester?
At 9:20. I got a taxi from the station and I was at home just before 10.
Did you tell your wife what time you were returning?
Yes, I told her I'd be on the 9 o'clock train. It was 20 minutes late, though. Signal failure, they said.
You'd arranged to meet your wife when you came back?
Yes, I said I'd drop over there in the evening with Susan's birthday present.
You'd arranged to meet her at her house, not the defendant's. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what we agreed.
Were you surprised, then, to find your wife at the defendant's home?
Yes, I suppose I was a little.
Why was that?
Well, she never newly went there, once or twice only. I usually met at the office, or I went to her if there was something important.
When did you first realize that your wife was present in the house, Mr. Coombes?
When she came into the sitting room a few minutes after I arrived.
How did she appear to you?
Seemed a little upset, agitated.
What were you doing when she entered the room?
I was chatting with some of Stephen's friends.
And how did she behave when she saw you?
Well, she was trying to tell me something, and I couldn't make any sense of it. I asked her what the trouble was several times, but didn't appear to hear me. It was all rather embarrassing, actually. One man offered to help, and she was really quite unpleasant to him. Eventually, I thought it was better to leave and try and sort it out outside.
You went out into the hallway?
Yes, I tried to find out what the matter was, but I'm afraid we both ended up shouting at one another. It's never happened before. I was very tired, though. It couldn't be helped.
Please go on, Mr. Coombes.
There's really not very much more to say. After a while, Stephen came down from upstairs. He asked Jacqueline to leave, and she went. I could see that he was very angry with her about something, but I didn't know what, of course, until later.
Did you ask the defendant for an explanation?
No. I was rather upset myself, I think. I did say to Jacqueline that I'd speak to her later. I suppose I thought it was better that we should all calm down a little.
Did the defendant shout at your wife or threaten her?
Oh, no. Stephen is very controlled. He isn't like that.
Did you see him lay hands on her at any point?
No. Last time that we saw her, she was quite all right. None of us knew what happened afterwards. We were all very sorry when we found out. Stephen offered to drive me to the hospital, but I said I thought it was better that I took Susan home. He was very concerned about Jacqueline. It had all been a silly mistake, really.
Did you visit your wife at the hospital?
Yes. I took Jacqueline's car. I had some spare keys, luckily.
How did she appear when you saw her?
A bit pale, rather quiet, only natural, I suppose.
Apart from remaining quiet, did she show any other emotion towards you?
I'm sorry, I don't understand you.
Was she friendly towards you or hostile?
No, neither, really. More sort of neutral.
And towards the defendant, did she give any indication that she blamed Mr. Hodges for what had happened to her?
None.
So you were not aware that she regarded Mr. Hodges as her assailant? Not then, anyway.
No, not until this business. I think it surprised all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Coombes.
Mr. Coombes, your wife entered the sitting room. You said she appeared agitated. Well, you really have no inkling why she might have been in that state?
No, I can't say that I did.
How would you describe the relationship between the defendant and your wife?
Well, I'd always thought it was fairly good.
Only fairly good?
Yes, well, there were some... They didn't always see eye to eye.
Mr. Coombes, when the defendant came downstairs and confronted your wife in the hallway, you said he appeared to be angry with her. Were you not concerned about that at all?
Yes, I suppose I was a little.
But you made no effort to discover the reason for his anger?
No,
Nor did you make any attempt to stop the defendant from evicting your wife. Why not?
I didn't know what it was about.
Are you entirely satisfied now that he behaved reasonably towards Mrs. Coombes?
I think he behaved very well, considering.
I see. So as far as you're concerned, he's done nothing which might alter your feelings of loyalty towards him?
Nothing.
One last question, Mr. Coombes. Is it true that since this incident occurred, your wife has filed for a divorce against you?
Yes. Yes, I'm afraid that is true. It's all very regrettable. It's a great pity.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it only remains for me now to direct you as to the law relating to the verdict which you must consider. If you are satisfied so that you are sure that an assault was committed by the defendant, which resulted in her suffering bodily injury deliberately and in such a way that it was obvious to him that his victim would suffer harm, then your proper verdict must be one of guilty. If you are not so satisfied, then I direct you to return a verdict of not guilty. Will you please now retire, elect a foreman to speak for you, and consider your verdict.
Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Please answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict upon which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty of assault occasioning actual bodily harm?
Not guilty.
And is this the verdict of you all?
Yes, it is.
Next week, you can join another jury when our cameras return to bring you a further case in the Crown Court.